At this point, you should be ready to do the paper mache portion of this project. You're gonna start out by grabbing some sheets of newspaper, and you wanna lay like 1 to 2 sheets doubled up on top of each other down on your workspace. At this point, you should have already mixed up your paper mache paste in your gallon container. Now you need to find some kind of bowl or plastic container. I use an old coffee can so that I can put the lid back on it when I'm done and not have to clean the bowl every single day. But this should, I always use something plastic so it's easier to clean it out. But please do not, I repeat, do not pour paper mache paste down the sink at your house. If you are done with paste and you need to get rid of paste, you want to pour that in the trash can. And if you are using a bowl that you are reusing every day, but you need to clean it out before the next time you use it, you want to pour the excess back into the original container that you mixed it in. Then you want to take the container that the paper mache paste is in, grab a paper towel, wipe out the bottom of the container, then take it to the sink and clean it. Do not let the paste go down the sink. Okay. So at this point, you've mixed up your paste, you've got it in some kind of container that you are ready to use to paper mache your object. And now you need to start ripping strips of newspaper to start. So what I do is I usually will open up the newspaper long ways like this. I've got it doubled up several times. And I'm going to find the zigzaggy part of the newspaper. That is the grain of the newspaper. The grain of the newspaper is running long ways like this. So I want to just tear, and if I tear in the direction of the grain, I will get nice, long, even strips, okay? But you wanna make sure that your paper mache strips aren't too big for the object that you are paper macheing. So my suggestion for something this size is no bigger than 1/2 inch wide by about 2 inches long, which if you can see where I'm going with this, that is about the strip size that you want for this project, okay? If you have curves, the smaller or skinnier the better, okay? Curves do much better when you have strips that are very, very skinny that you're trying to use. Sometimes you can go a little longer, like 3 or 4 inches, but try to keep it about 1.5 inches, or try to keep it about 2 inches by 1/2 inch. All right, so to start, you wanna make sure you rip tons of these little strips, because once your hands are all gross and disgusting, you're not gonna wanna stop, wash your hands, and then come back and rip more strips, okay? So I always prepare before I begin any project, okay? So at this point, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my project in my workspace, and then I'm going to start taking these strips and I'm going to dunk them in my paper mache paste like this, okay? I'm going to squeegee off the excess front and back, but you wanna make sure that the whole thing has paper mache paste on it. Then you wanna stretch it over top of the area that you're trying to cover and smooth it down. Take the next one. And this is when I start overlapping and I start crisscrossing my pieces. Okay, sometimes your hands are so gunky and gross, you could probably not even dip it in the paper mache paste and have enough on there to do your entire strip. Like in this case, I have plenty on my hands. I'm just going to overlap, smooth it down. And so you're going to repeat this process throughout the entire project. You want to cover this entire thing at least twice with newspaper. When you're finished for the day, you're going to pick this up and put it on a clean sheet of newspaper and store it somewhere so it can dry, okay? However this thing is laying when it's drying, that is the way you will come back and find it the next day. So if it's like got a big lump, or it's lopsided on one side, or you had something that wanted to stick up, or it was supposed to stick up on your design, and now it fell down because it got too saturated and wet, you're gonna come back the next day and that's how you're gonna find it. So you need to make sure that anything that needs to stick up or stick out is propped up on something plastic or something that's covered with newspaper so that it stays that shape as it dries. You can save these little strips for the next day. You don't have to continuously try to rip them up when you start, but you should be able to reuse them the next day or the next time you paper mache. When this is all done, you need to let it thoroughly dry before you apply any kind of paint to it.